this second day of our seminar on the prayers of Prahlad Maharaj for mercy and protection. So yesterday we discussed about confidence, why he's confident that the Lord will accept his prayers even though he's so unqualified. Prahlad, although he is the example of Smaranam, we have our 9 processes of devotional service. One is remembering Krishna. Smaranam. Prahlad Maharaj is the example of Smaranam. But even though he's the example, he has so much humility. He feels, oh, I am not qualified to worship the Lord. So we heard why we should be confident. We should have confidence also that though we may have so many disqualifications, we can still approach the Lord. And then he also pacified the Lord. He said why the Lord should not be angry anymore. Nishimire, give up your anger. These are your devotees over here, the demigods. Don't be angry. They're afraid of you. And you're supposed to not be fearful for the devotees. So please give up your anger now. The demon is killed. We do have copies here for those of you who need copies. There's 3 different ones, so you can come and take them if you need them. And you will pass them out. Okay, good. So pacification. Also he's expressing his feeling that he is fearless of Lord Shridev, but he's fearful of his material association. We describe how the remedies are worse than the disease, and the only remedy is devotional service and association of devotees, servant of the servant. Today we will discuss a lot about why is it better to be servant of the servant than to serve Krishna directly. So that will be our topic. First of all, we will discuss why we should surrender. In every verse, Prahlad Maharaj will give a different reason why we should surrender. The urgency of surrender, why we really have to surrender to Krishna. Then he will tell us how to surrender, which means to be servant of the servant. And then we'll hear a very short, brief summary of creation. I won't read all the verses from 30 to 36, but I will just summarize them. We did have some homework for yesterday, and that was to listen for the call of Krishna, or Krishna's devotees, or deities, or something or other. Did anybody hear Krishna calling them you yesterday? Yes.
In 2 ways, I heard.
2 ways.
Yes. It came all of a sudden when he service.
Service came, okay. He was calling you to do some service.
And then I realized that I'm a nectar hunter.
You're a nectar hunter, okay. Well, you're in the right place.
I need to take place in every seminar and do Mangalarati and this and that.
Right.
And then my body just, and I really realized that I really need my spiritual body.
Okay.
Totally. So
This is what I accepted as a call of Krishna. You need your spiritual body. So don't
Okay, that's true.
your material body.
Srila Prabhupada also said we need to spiritualize this body that we have. And then it will act like a spiritual body. But that takes time. Okay, anybody else have hear the call? Lakshmi Rupa, you heard the call very late at night.
Late at night?
No.
I felt very much hearing Krishna wanted me to take care of him in his form as a deity.
Okay.
As I said yesterday, I have had some deities visiting me, and they were very much attracting me to want to serve them in many different ways.
Oh, okay. Right.
So that was very nice.
Deities were visiting, yes. We have not only devotee visitors, we have deity visitors here.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Anybody else hear the call of Krishna yesterday? Yes, Bhagavatika.
Yeah, I'm quite a lazy person, and I'm not very friendly. I'm not very generous. But somehow or another, so many devotees are living in my house now, and it's so nice because it's so easygoing. I'm not disturbed at all that my routines are changed, and everybody has very simple requests. I can give them a yoga mat, and I can give them a pot to cook their porridge, and it's really, really nice.
Okay,
And I didn't expect it, but I'm just very happy.
good. Thank you. Anybody else hear the call, Krishna? Yes.
It's not maybe Krishna himself, but
Yeah, well,
it's the own Atma. I thought the necessity of the Atma.
the Atma, okay. You heard the call of the Atma.
Of my,
Your soul, okay.
soul.
That's very good. Usually we hear the call of the body, and we forget the call of the Atma.
The necessity of the Atma.
Good, good. Thank you. I heard the call actually 2 days in a row now. I couldn't get up early, but as soon as I get up, I hear the Tulsi Arti going in my head. So even today, I thought, well, I'll never make it to Mangalarti, you know. But then I missed Mangalarti, but I made it to Tulsi Puja, and somehow I hear Tulsi calling me, and then I thought, well, I'll chant with Tulsi, and I chanted my rounds also very nicely. I'm hearing the call of Tulsi these days somehow. I don't know why, but it's very nice. Okay, any other? Yes, over there in that field. Our Swedish-speaking Prabhu.
No.
Yes, Swedish? No. Oh, something. Which? Latvian.
I will tell in English. So,
Tas varbūt vairāk ir, ka Krišna nevis sauc, bet stumj, dzen.
it's more like not Krishna calling me, but pushing me forward.
Okay.
Šorīt pie ezera mazgājoties debesīs putnus bļāva ļoti nepatīkami, ka tur nebija ilgi patīkami uzturēties.
It was this morning before Mangalarti when we were taking a bath at the lake. It was like a bird screaming very unpleasantly.
Un šorīt metās virsū vesels mākonis mušiņu, kas lika ļoti ātri saģērbties, noslaucīties, uzlikt tilaku, visu sakārtot un mesties ātri iekšā templī.
And lots of flies, very annoying, which made to do it like really fast. And so like thus we made it in time for Mangalarti.
Very good. The flies were pushing you, okay? Yeah, sometimes Krishna calls us from the front and sometimes he pushes us from the behind. So we may get it from all sides sometimes. We call him Krishna, yes. Thank you for that. Yes, so yeah, no matter what we see happening in the world, if we remember Krishna, then it's very nice. Then it's no longer something mundane or a burden, but it's a way to remember Krishna. Thank you, all of you, and you will have a little bit more homework again today. You'll have 2 choices of homework for tomorrow. So let us begin the class by singing this prayer to Lord Shinidev. I will, again, is the top of the first page. I will sing the melody from Sing Kachalam for leading the deities. Sri Nishinga Jai Nishinga Jaya Jai Nishinga Dev. Shri Nishinga Jai Nishinga Jaya Jai Nishinga Dev. Palaresha Jaya Padma Mukha Padma Vinga. Palaresha Jaya Padma Mukha Padma Vinga. Our glories to Nishinadev, our glories to Nishinadev, who is the Lord of Prahlad Maharaj, and like a honeybee, is always engaged in beholding the lotus-like face of the goddess of fortune. So we will start at verse 21, why we should surrender to Krishna. So let us see if you can catch the reason why we should surrender this verse. You don't have the verse, and you only have one verse today, and it's the most important verse about being servant of the servant. But I will say this verse for you, I will summarize it. O Lord, you have created the subtle bodies of the living entities through your external energy, which is agitated by time. Thus the mind entraps the living entity in unlimited varieties of desires to be fulfilled by the Vedic directions of Karma Kanda. Who can get free from this entanglement unless he takes shelter at your lotus feet? So something is trapping us here in this world. Did anybody catch what is it that is keeping us in the trap of this world? Something very close to us. Something, we think it's us actually. The mind, very good. The mind is keeping us here, it's trapping us in this world. And what is the bait in the trap of the mind? So many desires, like we heard this morning, bhogi, or do, bhava bhogi, be a bhogi, don't be a yogi. So, yes, the mind is trapping us. And we think we blame it on so many other people and places, but it's actually our own mind that keeps us here, chaining us to this material world. So therefore we have to fix our mind on Krishna again. The disease, as we heard this morning, there's a bhava roga, there is a disease of the heart, and in the Sanskrit often the heart and mind are the same. They're the same word. The mind, well, of course, mana and rida, but mind is in the heart. So sometimes the disease of the heart is also a disease of the mind. And so when we imitate Krishna, we want to compete with Krishna, and then we are sick because we cannot be Krishna. So now the next verse 22, first reason is why we should surrender is because we're hopelessly entangled without Krishna's shelter. The mind is keeping us entangled. So verse 22 explains another reason why we should surrender to Krishna. Verse 22, you do not have. My dear Lord, you have created this world, but you're transcendental. These material qualities are under your full control. And you're never conquered by them, so time is your representation. My Lord, no one can conquer you. As for me, however, I am being crushed by the wheel of time. And therefore, I surrender fully unto you. Kindly take me under the protection of your lotus feet. Anybody have this experience of being crushed by the wheel of time? I think it doesn't respect ages or countries or no discrimination with time. Everybody is getting crushed. And when Yudhishthira Maharaj was asked, in Mahabharata, what is the news? So Yudhishthira Maharaj says the news is that this universe is like a frying pan, and everyone is being fried in the frying pan. And the cook is time. Time is cooking us all. And some of us are fried. Some of us are well done. And some of us are almost ready to go out of the frying pan. And who knows where. And hopefully we will go out, back to Godhead. That is the purpose of this Krishna conscious movement, to go back to home, back to Godhead, not to be fried anymore in this material world. So the devotee, Prahlad is praying, please protect me, I'm being crushed by time. And Lord Chaitanya says, please pick me up, I'm your servant, but somehow I've fallen here. So place me as an atom of dust at your lotus feet. So second lesson, why we should surrender, we're being crushed by time. 2 reasons. First of all, our mind is trapping us with so many desires. Second reason, we're being crushed by time. Now the third reason, verse 23, people in general want to be elevated to higher planetary systems for long duration of life, opulence, and enjoyment. But I've seen all of these through the activities of my father. Who was his father? Hiranyakashipu. When my father was angry and he laughed sarcastically at the demigods, they were immediately vanquished simply by seeing the movements of his eyebrows. Yet my Father, who is so powerful, has now been vanquished by you within a moment. So in this verse, the reason for surrender is that everything is temporary. You can lose it at any second. Like I lost my hearing. It was, one day I had it, in the morning I had it, and the evening was gone. So anything can be taken away from you. Your life also. I mean, I was lucky it was just 1 ear, not 2 ears. So, thank you, Krishna. But everything is temporary, and that's another reason why we should surrender to Krishna. I was in the earthquake zone in Christchurch, New Zealand, and really get a sense of how everything is temporary there. And within 45 seconds, the whole business district was finished in one earthquake. They had videos, just a cloud of smoke, and then the whole business district was gone. And I had a little experience there. Two, they weren't exactly earthquakes, they were kind of like tremors, aftershocks. One I was like, 2:30 in the morning. I just woke up for no reason. Half an hour later, there was just like a huge bang. And you just feel like you're in shock, And then my first thought was, my computer, it's going to fall down on the floor. But then I started chanting Hare Krishna. I was too scared to go to my computer, so I just chanted Hare Krishna to protect me. Hope Krishna will protect it. And the second time was about 9:30 at night. And I was in the house with a family of 4 children, and 9:30 I went to sleep, and I thought, wow, the children are making a lot of noise running across the ceiling here. And then the house started swaying back and forth, and I realized it's not the children. And it was very short, fortunately. So then I went out to my room, and everybody was on their computer, because the game is, how big is the tremor according to the Richter scale? And they guess, right after everybody guesses, and they go on the computer and they see who was right. That one was 4.7 on the Richter scale. So yes, and I was home alone one time, and they told me, they gave me instructions what to do if the earthquake comes. So they showed me there's a room where the deities are, and that's safe because there's no floor above it. There's just roof. But in order to get to that room, I had to go through a hallway with a glass roof. So it was kind of, I don't know. I didn't know what to do. But it didn't happen, so it was very lucky. But if you go on the roads in that city, even today, you will see the speed limit signs. 30, temporary. 40, temporary. 50. All the signs have temporary underneath it, so you really get the sense everything is temporary, because they're trying to rebuild the city, and after they rebuild, they'll have the proper speed limit. And they're doing deconstruction. Now everybody does construction, but they're taking the high-rise buildings down. Instead of putting them up, they're taking them down, and it's called deconstruction. It looks like they're building, but they're actually taking everything down. The ones that didn't fall, are taken down. So, another reason to surrender, it's temporary. We think, we're very confident. Of course, it's good to have a little faith that the earth will not shake. But sometimes it happens in the least likely of places. And so, yes, this is the reason. Third reason why to surrender. Everything can be finished in a second. It doesn't take long. As Prabhupada often said, it's like we're on a lily leaf, a drop of water on a lily leaf. It's tilted, it can fall any time. So then, verse 24 gives us the first instruction what to do. You don't have it yet, I'll tell you when. My Lord, now I have complete experience concerning the worldly opulence, mystic power, longevity, and other material pleasures enjoyed by all living entities, from Lord Brahma down to the ant. His powerful time, you destroy them all. Therefore, because of my experience, I do not wish to possess them. Do we have enough experience yet to not want this? My dear Lord, I request you to place me in touch with your pure devotee. Let me serve him as a sincere servant. The theme of our festival here. Let me serve your servant. All through the Bhagavatam, whenever the Lord appears, and what do you want, they'll say, let me be servant of the servant. So it must be the best thing. And we'll discuss that a little later. Why is it the best thing to desire? And so Prahlad Maharaj is saying, please make me servant of the servant. I have so much experience of this world, so therefore I don't want to take the things of this world. They're all temporary. They will give me so much suffering. In Ireland, one book distributor told me a story that he met one man, and he was telling him, oh yes, you know, this life, there's no real happiness. And the man said, yes, I have experience. I really wanted to buy a boat. And because in Ireland there's so many rivers and lakes, and he said, and I got my boat. That was the happiest day of my life, when I got my boat. And then he said, but then, after that, the happiest day of my life was when I sold my boat. Because it caused me so much trouble to maintain. I could not afford it. Even my son, one time, he had a sailboat. Last year, or the year before last, he had a sailboat. But to park it, you have to pay so much money, you know. It's not just something you can put in your driveway. Anyway, he didn't have enough money to pay for the parking for the boat, although he got a boat somehow or other. And so he had to sell the boat too. And so yes, the things that we get them, and then they don't either, first of all, they don't live up to our expectations, and they don't make us happy. Or they may live up to our expectations, but then we lose them, or we can't maintain them. And so this is the problem. So therefore, best to serve the devotee of Krishna. So my experience was in serving Srila Prabhupada that he is more merciful than Krishna. Because for one reason, Krishna, he didn't go out of Vrindavan and Hastinapur. In Lord Chaitanya, of course, he went out more. He went all over India, but he didn't go to the Western countries. But Srila Prabhupada came to us, and if Srila Prabhupada hadn't come, then none of us would be sitting here today. It's all His mercy. It's all His grace. So now I would like to ask you a question that how is Prabhupada more merciful than Krishna? Any ideas? I'll give you one. Nityananda in the back, very back.
I think he carries Krishna's mercy.
Okay, just one. Get the microphone, we can't hear you.
Sorry.
He's carrying Krishna's mercy, and then he's also adding his own.
Oh, wow, okay, double mercy.
Yeah.
He's carrying Krishna's mercy and he's adding his own. Prabhupada. Very good.
Like Mahaprabhu was saying 64 rounds, like Srila Prabhupada said,
Yeah, 16.
Yeah,
We chant 16 and we'll get the same benefit as those who could do more. Good, thank you for that. Prabhupada is more merciful, for sure. Just imagine if we had to do 64 rounds every day. You would all have you wouldn't be able to eat or sleep, I think, the ones who are doing the festival. Even the ones who are attending the festival. You may not have time. Okay, anybody else? Yes. How is Prabhupada more merciful?
Yes, he gave the Western ladies in this Kali-yuga set up opportunity to serve in this preaching mission and be close to the deities and also have activities in ashramas, which was not before.
Yes, he had the Brahmachari ashram, which was not there before, and deity worship, initiation, Brahman. Well, Bhaktisiddhanta gave Brahman initiation, but yes, the deity worship and on the streets preaching. That is Prabhupada's mercy. Anybody? Yes, here in the front. You will get your exercise. Very good.
He says that every holy man has a past and every criminal has a future.
Okay.
So I think all pure devotees, the more you advance, the more fallen you consider yourself. So I think we have also very easy to relate to the fallen conditioned souls.
Right.
So then it's like once you have been homeless, you have more compassion for the homeless people.
That's right.
So I think that the mercy flows really.
Yes, Prabhupada had that. And the God brothers, he asked many God brothers to come with him, and they said, well, we cannot associate with those kind of low-class people, you know. So yes, Prabhupada was very compassionate. Good. Okay, so we will now go to the next verse to find out another reason why we should surrender to Krishna. Verse 25. In this material world, every living entity desires some future happiness, which is exactly like a mirage in the desert. Now, we are here in this country of Sweden. Do you have mirages here? Because it's certainly not a desert. Has everybody seen a mirage? Of course, you went to India. Even in Sweden. You saw it?
On the road.
On the road, good. Oh, it does get hot. Okay, good. Yes, you do have mirages here. Because sometimes I say mirage in the desert and I get a blank look on everyone's face. Yes, so you know what a mirage is. Very good. Mirage. So that's happiness in this world. Because the mirage keeps going further the closer you get to it. It keeps going ahead. So that's how the happiness is in this world. You see it, and you go for it, and it keeps moving ahead. Tomorrow, next day, you will get, maybe, promise of happiness we get here. As for this body, what is its value? It is merely a source of various diseases, so that you will find out after the age of 40 or 50 or at least 60. I was just recently in Innisfrith, Ireland, Mangalarti time, and I was offering obeisances, and my mataji was very concerned. She came to me and said, "Are you sick?" And I had to really think, because, you know, I'm always sick. You know? I mean, yeah, of course, you know, what do you mean, am I sick? You should ask, am I healthy? That's, like when you get older, you're kind of in between diseases. So sometimes you feel like a day or a few hours, you're healthy, you're well, you know, but usually you feel, you know, where did the pain go today, you know, when you wake up? Is it in the knee? Is it in the head? Anyway, that's old age. All right, well, so hopefully you won't have to experience that. Well, anyway, I shouldn't say that. It's good to experience, because you get this, then you feel, yes, surrender, the urgency. You feel the urgency, yes, the body is disintegrating while I'm still living in it. It's deteriorating while I'm in it. So it's quite a different experience than growing while you're in it, or maturing while you're in it. Okay, so the so-called philosophers, scientists, and politicians know this very well, but nonetheless they aspire for temporary happiness. Happiness is very difficult to obtain, but because they are unable to control their senses, they run after the so-called happiness of the material world, never come to the right conclusion. Okay, so another reason why surrender, there's no happiness here. Everything's finished in a second, we're being crushed by time and hopeless entanglement by the mind. So, we heard about this, how it's a blazing forest fire, this material world. Many analogies about the suffering here. It's the ocean, that we're drowning in the ocean. One time Virja Prabhu asked me, "So, are you floating in the ocean?" I said, "No, I'm drowning in this ocean, material existence." If you're in the mode of goodness, you may have the feeling that you're floating, but it won't last for long. It won't last long. You will again come down. So now, verse 26 is very wonderful, because we heard all the negative reasons why to surrender. What's pushing us to surrender, the misery of this world. Now we're going to hear a very positive reason